Want me to tell you something about that video?
Yeah.
I did that video and I was in bed for a week. That was 30 seconds and I was in bed for a week. And it's not funny because it made me realize that this is big boy, okay?
Big boy. In a different way, right? Let's not imagine that Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul. Let's imagine Mike Tyson is fighting some young, like really powerful knockout artist who's a contender.
Always was long dudes that had a good jab. Later in his career when he wasn't moving his head anymore, so I don't know if Jake can keep Mike off with his jab.
Mike Tyson recently slammed Joe Rogan after he demanded him to pull out of the fight with Jake Paul. Meanwhile, Lennox Lewis isn't quite done in the ring, as he has his eyes set on the problem child. He said, "I hope that Tyson saves a little bit of Jake Paul for me. Mike Tyson's gonna win. Mike Tyson's not that old. Don't take him too softly. We're 1 year apart." Lewis is accustomed to taking on Tyson. In what would be Tyson's final world title match, Lewis faced off against Tyson in 2002 to defend his heavyweight crowns against the WBC and the IBF. Lewis outperformed Tyson in the 8th round, following a competitive opening round. Tyson's health worries forced the postponement of their July battle scheduled between him and Paul. Lewis gives Tyson the benefit of the doubt, despite the stark age difference between the two. He calls Paul a true fighter. He said, "You can fight somebody like that and do well, because the person you're fighting is not a true fighter, and there's 100 things that you've forgotten that he's learning. The age will be a little bit of a determining factor if the fight goes on too long, but if they get close, and Mike Tyson comes with his 10-second combination, if one of those punches catches him, he's definitely gonna go down." Reactions to the bout between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul have been diverse both within and outside the boxing community. Some people think Iron Mike is too old to compete in the rings again. Some think the former champion will defeat the influencer-turned-boxer with ease in the evening. During an unscheduled interview with Fight Hub, the reporter inquired about Manny Pacquiao's thoughts on the fight between Tyson and Paul. Manny initially expressed amazement and inquired as to whether they were fighting, and the reporter verified the information. The reporter asks him right away if he believes Paul could defeat Mike Tyson. After a little pause, Pacquiao just responded that he doesn't think he can.
What do you think of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson? That fight just got announced. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
They're gonna fight, huh?
Yeah, they're gonna fight. Do you think Jake Paul can beat Mike Tyson?
I don't think so.
On the other hand, Jake Paul has opted not to wait until November 15th to return to boxing. Instead of facing Mike Tyson as planned, Paul will keep the scheduled date and compete against mixed martial artist Platinum Mike Perry in an 8-round cruiserweight bout at Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida. Due to health concerns, Tyson had to withdraw from the bout. It was rescheduled for November 15th. Paul chose not to waste a training camp and will keep himself occupied by taking on the unbeaten BKFC fighter in the event dubbed Fear No Man. Paul said in a statement to ESPN, "When Paul versus Tyson was rescheduled, I knew immediately that I wanted to still fight on Saturday, July 20th. Now, as I prepare for my fight against Iron Mike, there's no better opponent for me than Mike Perry." He further added, "He's a proven knockout artist who is shown to be a maniac in and out of the ring. This is the perfect experience for me to gain in advance of facing Mike Tyson. But getting that experience comes with risk. Those who know me know I'm a risk taker, and while Platinum Perry might try to end me, I'm Titanium Jake Paul, and I fear no man." Perry, who holds a record of 5-0 with 3 knockouts in BKFC, spent 7 years in MMA before making his UFC debut in 2016. During his time in the UFC, he achieved a record of 7 wins and 8 losses before leaving the organization to join BKFC in 2021. Transitioning to bare-knuckle fighting has catapulted the 32-year-old Perry into becoming the promotion's standout star. Paul further mentioned, "I'm going to get the W and give everyone a preview of what I'm bringing to the ring against Mike Tyson. Tune in on DAZN PPV as I return to Tampa and send Platinum Perry the Platypus back to bare knuckle for good." Notably, Perry has secured notable victories over former UFC champions Luke Rockhold and Eddie Alvarez. Perry's win against Alvarez earned him the prestigious King of Violence championship title. Perry said, "Jake Paul claims he fears no man, but on Saturday, July 20th, the world will see the truth. He just made the worst mistake of his life in trying to get through me before Iron Mike. I'm going to make it look easy on Saturday, July 20th, and I'm going to teach Jake Paul the most he's ever learned about fighting." Fans were understandably upset about Paul, who is 27 and in his prime, potentially facing the 58-year-old Tyson. However, the matchup with Perry has been much more warmly received by fight fans. Now, it appears the ex-Disney star is eyeing another celebrity, Conor McGregor. McGregor, known as Notorious, is the most prominent figure in mixed martial arts history and famously crossed over to boxing by facing Floyd Mayweather in 2017. In a detailed Instagram post, Paul seems to have expressed interest in a bout against McGregor next. Paul said, 1 mic, 2 mics, 3 mics, 4. The fact is, every opponent has touched the floor. 5 months until Tyson and I go to war. So in the meantime, me and Perry are going to make Tampa roar. I fear no man, anytime, anywhere, anyplace. On July 20th, it's going to be another W, so let us say grace for the BKFC champ who will take a knee. Then we will go to Ireland and take McGregor's equity. The YouTuber announced that he will go to Ireland and take McGregor's equity after fighting Platinum. But Paul's chances of facing McGregor are minimal for one very obvious reason: Dana White. UFC CEO Dana White and Jake Paul have a mutual dislike for each other. Paul has been notably vocal and outspoken in his criticism of the UFC, particularly regarding fighter pay, while White has been equally sharp in his criticisms of Paul. Conor McGregor, as a UFC fighter, requires the promotion's approval to box against Paul or anyone not affiliated with the UFC. Dana White is highly unlikely to consent to his top star contributing to Paul's earnings. Meanwhile, former UFC champion and current PFL ambassador Randy Couture believes that Jake Paul stands no chance in a professional fight against Tyson. Couture, a former UFC light heavyweight and heavyweight champion, argues that Paul's survival would only be possible if the fight conditions were significantly altered from the current norms. Prior to the PFL's regular season games in Salt Lake City and Sioux Falls over the next 2 weeks, Couture exclusively spoke with Bloody Elbow and said, "Everything I've seen, I don't see any way that Jake Paul stands up to Mike Tyson." He further added, "Then there comes the rumors of special considerations and stipulations on how they fight, and I don't think that's fair. If you're going to do it, just do it. You picked one hell of a fighter. Previously, you've picked grapplers, guys in MMA that have strong wrestling backgrounds or grappling." Although a lot of people believe Mike Tyson still has one more fight left in him, even against a greater athlete than himself, at least in the present, things could change in the coming months. In another huge update, the former US President Donald Trump gave some advice to Iron Mike Tyson after going through a bitter fight of his own. This time, the former president surprisingly kept controversy at bay as he cautioned Tyson that time waits for no one. Trump told Logan Paul on Impulsive,
"Yeah, right? Who you got? When is that gonna be?"
November. It got rescheduled.
Look, Mike was fantastic, but you know, Mike's a little older now.
Yeah.
And you guys can fight.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, but you guys can really fight, legitimately fight.
Thank you, sir.
At first I said, it's so amazing because I always thought like a UFC guy or a top, even contender would be able to win at 75 years old.
You think?
But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The clock is still the clock.
Yeah. I figured that out with Floyd as well.
Yeah, how about that, right?
I don't know.
I mean, it was even.
Yeah, which
You would
shouldn't
have
make...
thought he would have won that fight.
the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation will mandate Tyson to undergo rigorous testing after a flare-up of his ulcer to determine his fitness for fighting Paul on November 15th. They have already made adjustments, including the use of 14-ounce gloves, 8 rounds, and limiting each round to 2 minutes, aimed at safeguarding him from significant harm. At least Jake Paul is a man of his word. However, it doesn't mean he will be hanging around either. Jake Paul agreed to postpone their battle until November, since he promised they would have equal preparation time. However, Joe Rogan thinks that the bout between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul must be called off. Rogan has voiced deep worries about Mike Tyson's safety, fearing that Jake could seriously harm the boxing legend. Rogan specifically emphasized the danger of Tyson facing potentially fatal consequences in his upcoming match against Paul. The significant age gap, Tyson being 31 years older than Paul, has stirred concern among boxing fans. Even before the fight was officially approved, Rogan's concerns about a disastrous outcome were apparent. Rogan noted that approval for the fight was in doubt due to potential protests that might lead to its rejection. It's important to note that this podcast was recorded several weeks ago, and since then, the fight has been officially sanctioned. Reflecting on the circumstances, Tyson underscored the potential consequences, cautioning that if he were to suffer serious injuries or, in a worst-case scenario, die during the bout, it would raise significant concerns.
Like, that's crazy.
If Tyson dies, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. See, if you have something like that, if this,
That'd be the end of the
right.
Yeah, that'd be the end of that experiment.
Let's imagine it in a different way, right? Let's not imagine that Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul. Let's imagine Mike Tyson is fighting some young, really powerful knockout artist who's a contender.
Despite Rogan's sincere worries about Tyson's health, he hasn't dismissed the chance of Iron Mike making a comeback and possibly knocking out Paul. The UFC commentator suggested that if Tyson could recover even 70% of his past physical abilities, it would pose a significant challenge for Paul. This is especially true considering Tyson's continuing power, as demonstrated by his recent bag work.
probably.
Well,
wouldn't wanna
guess
see
what?
that.
Jake Paul could be that guy if we didn't think of him as Jake Paul. If you look at the people he knocks dead, when he knocked dead Tyron Woodley with one punch, that dude
I was there.
Fucking crack.
Yeah, I was. I mean, honestly, so like that's what I'm saying. Exactly what you're saying. We don't want to give him credit because it's Jake Paul.
Exactly.
But we gotta wake up and realize that he's still 27, young, and for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, he's had the
training
best
consistently.
coaches working with him one-on-one. Now, we wouldn't be thinking that if it wasn't Jake Paul that he couldn't do it.
Just dealing with that with probably 90% of the power. 70% of the physical ability and 90% of the power, because the power's not gone. You see it when he hits a bag.
Yeah, he's
You
still
see-
got the power.
The power's there, 100%. But he's had a bunch of back issues. He had real
Yeah,
bad
he was
sciatica.
having problems walking and
He was
stuff.
walking
I saw
with a
him with a cane. Yeah.
So, but who knows what they've done? Stem cells. I'm sure he's with the right people.
Rogan pointed out Tyson's past health struggles, especially his severe sciatica that had once necessitated the use of a cane. Despite these difficulties, Rogan acknowledged the promising impact of therapies like stem cell treatment, suggesting Tyson likely had access to superior medical care. Astonishingly, even at 57 years old, Rogan noted Tyson's potential to remain highly lucrative if he stayed in excellent physical shape, an observation they found particularly noteworthy.
Like, even at 57, you can make a lot of money if Mike Tyson's fit and in shape, which is so crazy to say. It's just weird that we're even talking about
Right.
it.
100%.
That the guy from Disney is going to fight Mike Tyson,
Right.
the YouTube kid.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, and the path to beat Mike always was long dudes that had a good jab.
Amid widespread skepticism about Mike Tyson, UFC commentator Joe Rogan highlights a distinctive advantage that could tilt the scales in Tyson's favor. Rogan points to Tyson's use of hormone replacement therapy, which has been extensively documented. Rogan elaborated to his guest, Max Holloway, on how HRT could notably enhance performance for individuals in their 50s, distinguishing it from alternative treatments. Joe Rogan brought attention to an intriguing aspect of the Jake versus Mike fight, emphasizing the evolving dynamics for veteran athletes. He noted how modern, older athletes are leveraging hormone replacement therapy, describing it as a pivotal advantage. Rogan hinted that Jake might face a surprise from Mike Tyson on July 20th, given this transformational factor. The impact could be profound, especially as Jake recently revealed his increased weight of 230 in readiness for the upcoming bout with Tyson.
Hormone replacement's a game changer.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
It's a different thing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
A 57-year-old man today, like Mike Tyson, it's like, that's not a 57-year-old
Bro.
man from 1994.
Oh, this is the one.
Recognizing the significance of HRT in men is crucial. HRT aims to restore hormonal balance in the body, specifically addressing testosterone deficiencies, enhancing bone density, and rejuvenating overall male health. Joe Rogan underscores how health strategies for men in their 50s have advanced significantly compared to 3 decades ago. He points out that a modern 57-year-old like Mike Tyson cannot be compared to someone of the same age in 1994.
Yes.
Oh, that's the 360. So the idea... The idea to explain that was that I forget who used to use that a lot.
Max Holloway recently drew attention to the trending videos of Mike Tyson's training, which have been causing a stir across social media platforms. After both Holloway and Joe Rogan viewed these clips, they speculated that Tyson could potentially defeat Jake Paul, and Tyson's ability to secure a knockout victory, despite Tyson being 57 years old. He queried Rogan about his thoughts on Tyson's recent training footage and hinted that Tyson could replicate his impressive performance from those videos if he were to step into the ring.
That would be
Clips the guy,
crazy.
bro. What is going on?
He's gonna be hell on wheels in the first round for sure. He's gonna be hell on wheels. You know, because I don't know how long he can go.
Joe Rogan appeared to acknowledge the significant age difference between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul with cautious agreement, although he remained uncertain. As a UFC commentator, Rogan admitted he lacked current information on Tyson's physical condition, despite Tyson's history as the youngest heavyweight boxing champion. Nevertheless, Rogan suggested a strategy for Tyson to secure victory, applying relentless pressure on Paul right from the start of the fight. In the first round, Rogan commented on Mike's potential strength, pointing up concerns about his stamina and physical condition. He observed that Mike's back, joints, and general health were not well understood.
I don't know what his joints feel like or his back feels like. I don't know what's really going on. When you're watching clips of a guy hitting the pads.
Yeah, let's hope he gets something crazy and then
Yeah.
he say his back is broken. That iconic speech. We get another iconic speech from him.
It's going to be interesting. And it's the only time I could ever remember where I would be interested in watching a 57-year-old man fight a 27-year-old man.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, like even bro, like, because everybody saw him walking around with the cane, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's walking around. What if he trolling everybody? What if he knew, bro? What if he knew something we didn't know? What if he's wearing or seeing us all over, you know? But But even that, bro, they had the new video of him moving. I'm like, but this is not fair. What is he doing? Like,
they're gonna do everything to him. They're gonna give him all the hormones, all the recovery, everything. They're gonna do everything they can to get him ready for that. There's a lot of money in this.
That's a lot of money, bro. It's gonna be, and it's only an exhibition, right? It's not even a real fight, right?
And they have 16-ounce gloves, and they have to fight 2 minutes.
Even with questions about Tyson's strength and endurance, Rogan said that Tyson's aggressive approach from the beginning could provide a big challenge for Paul. Nevertheless, Rogan also emphasized Paul's own abilities, showing how he might be a strong rival for Tyson.
You know, I mean, even Paul, bro. Paul is not a small guy.
No,
he's big. Like a lot of guys think he's tiny. He's a huge boy.
He's a big dude, and he can crack.
Yeah.
And I always say that people look at him like a guy who is a YouTuber, and they're denying his skills.
Not anymore, bro. Before, when he first was coming out, that's the way you should look at him. But now, bro, he got like Love in his corner. Like Love is his main trainer. What is it? John Love, or he's one of Floyd boys. That guy he was like a legit world champion at one point, so he knows the training that he has to be done. Like before, I was like, yeah, whatever. But then when you see Paul dedicate himself and how he's training, getting ready for these guys, like he's a businessman too. Don't get me wrong, but he's training, bro. He's not freaking cutting no corners, bro.
No.
He got the right guys. He got a right team. Strength and conditioning, probably eating right, eating good, fighting on his terms, bro.
Yeah.
Like, guys,
what did
smart,
you think of Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou?
Oh, brother.
Meanwhile, despite the delay in his bout with Jake Paul, Mike Tyson has expressed a keen interest in squaring off against Anthony Joshua. The prospect of challenging Joshua, a two-time world champion in his own right, stirs Tyson's passion. This impending clash, brimming with anticipation and suspense, promises to enthrall audiences with its sheer spectacle and intensity. By 2020, Tyson began dreaming of ambitious goals. In a candid interview with TMZ Sports, he daringly contemplated the prospect of facing Anthony Joshua, then the reigning champion, holding multiple heavyweight titles. Tyson declared, "I'm very interested. If doing that means we can have a bigger charity exponent, well, so be it. I'm down to do that too. I would love to fight Joshua. That would be mind-blowing." Fast forward to now. Joshua has surrendered his championships to Alexander Usyk, yet he's mounting a resurgence with 4 consecutive wins. Meanwhile, Tyson has remained inactive following his electrifying split draw against Roy Jones Jr. However, the allure of a highly profitable clash with Paul, scheduled to stream on Netflix, has enticed him back from his partial retirement. Views within the boxing community are split regarding Tyson's upcoming moves. During his appearance on The Jonathan Ross Show, Anthony Joshua offered his opinion on Tyson's comeback. "I personally think it's really good. The boxing hardcore, they don't like it because they're like, why are they disrespecting our sport?" Joshua explained, shedding light on the purist perspective. He added, "There's an Olympic system that you have to go through, and once you've qualified there, you go through to the professional ranks, whereas someone with a profile can just come out of nowhere and fight one of the best guys." Joshua further added, "But I think Paul brings all of these people into boxing, which benefits everyone else that's involved in the industry. It's a tough game, so everyone viewing helps. I think it's really good for exposure." Though excited, Joshua isn't looking forward to a fight with Tyson yet. "The only thing I'm worried about is father time," he mused. He added, "That's one thing that has never been beat. Tyson is older now. I pray that he comes out healthy. I think Jake Paul because of youth. That's the only thing, the youth." On the other hand, a ray of optimism emerges. Logan Paul, elder sibling of Jake Paul, seems willing to enter the ring as a replacement for Iron Mike. Despite their past conflicts, the brothers have reconciled and grown closer. Could this be their opportunity to mend fences and resolve any lingering issues? Logan Paul tweeted, "So Mike Tyson's out, I'll step in, and we can settle this once and for all, Jake Paul." Interestingly, this opportunity arises shortly after WWE competitor LA Knight issued a challenge. Sean Ricker, professionally known as LA Knight, seems keen on pursuing the United States Championship currently held by Paul, who is also referred to as the Elder. The tweet has garnered significant endorsements from various quarters. Logan Paul's longtime friend and Impulsive's co-host, Mike Majlak, said, "I mean, it's literally what everyone, except Pam and Greg, wants." Supporters think that the fight between the two brothers is the ideal scenario. Now, everyone knows about it. The conflict between Logan and Jake Paul was formerly widely known during the time when the brothers were becoming well-known in Los Angeles as YouTubers. During the production of the Netflix documentary Untold, this split became apparent. Jake Paul reportedly said, "In Los Angeles, we were more focused on business and making money and growing our brands, and that became a competitive race. I wanted to prove to him that I'm legit, I can do this too, and he wanted to prove to me that I'm the bigger brother and I'm going to get more followers." During that time, they traded diss tracks and playful jabs on their YouTube channel, but after a few years, they reconciled and started supporting each other. People speculated whether the brothers would resolve their issues through a physical physical confrontation, but fortunately, neither Jake nor Logan Paul showed interest in taking that step. On an episode of Impulsive, when Mike Majlak floated the idea of a fight, Paul showed interest in the excitement it could generate. However, he and his friends made it clear that it wasn't a path they were eager to pursue. Jake Paul said, "It's interestingly enough, like, I had this like epiphany where I was like, why the f would we ever do this like that?" Logan Paul soon pitched in, "I had the same epiphany at your age. Yeah, it was. It was so intriguing for so many years because I knew how big of a show it would be, but like I got one brother, you know, I don't want to fight him." Yet, a more expansive question arises. How will their performances compare? Persistent doubts persist about the quality of competitors each sibling faces. Jake Paul, renowned for his dedicated boxing regimen, has steadily refined his abilities. Conversely, Logan Paul might be deemed a tentative boxer, evident from his intermittent forays into the ring, particularly following his 2021 clash with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and subsequent bout against Dylan Dennis last year. Is he capable of rivaling his younger sibling? Although he hasn't quite ascended to the heights of professional championship, the problem child maintains significant sway in the realm of crossover appeal. Notably, he has accepted his brother's challenge. Jake Paul tweeted, "Mom doesn't want me to KO you, but f*** it. Loser has to change their last name." Tony Bellew has voiced his discontent with the decision to have Jake and Mike participate in bouts with 2-minute rounds. Although the fights are officially sanctioned, Bellew argues against the format of 8 rounds, each lasting only 2 minutes. Traditionally, this shorter duration is reserved for women's professional matches. Bellew has openly criticized the organizers' choice to implement this format for their upcoming summer fights. He told Ace Odds, "How the f*** has that been getting registered as a professional bout? It's got 14-ounce gloves, and you're fighting 2-minute rounds. What the f*** is going on?" Moreover, Bellew expressed his frustration, delving into the background of how the fight was sanctioned and authorized. He criticized Jake Paul as someone who is trying to align himself with Mike Tyson's legacy despite not understanding its essence. Bellew described the situation as illogical and noted Tyson's lack of concern for his own record, all the while questioning the decision-making process involved in approving the fight. Bellew added, "Who's commissioned that and who's approving that? That idiot Jake Paul just wants to be on Mike Tyson's record. I mean, it is insane. I know what Mike's doing. Mike doesn't give a anymore, and I understand why he doesn't give a about his record, but how are you passing this?" He pondered over the curious anomaly in Mike Tyson's career, mostly defined by 3-minute rounds. His curiosity peaked when he discovered a 2-minute round bout listed on Tyson's professional record. He highlighted the norm of 2-minute rounds in women's boxing, contrasting it sharply with its unprecedented inclusion in men's boxing. He expressed regret that this decision not only disrespected the sport, but also undermined its professional integrity. He added, "Mike Tyson's whole career has been fought over 3-minute rounds. How is he allowing a 2-minute round bout to go on his professional record? The women's code is over 2-minute rounds, not the men's. So why is a bout over 2-minute rounds being deemed as a professional bout? It's a disgrace. It's an absolute take." In a surprising twist, a former world boxing champion who retired has offered to step up and face Jake Paul instead of Mike Tyson. Meet Sakio Bika, the former IBO super middleweight champion who held the title from 2008 to 2010. After a break of 4 years following his last fight in 2021, Bika makes his comeback to the ring. But he said, "If Jake Paul is serious about fighting a former champion, look for someone a lot younger or active within the last decade. I can fight Jake Paul at any weight he wants." In the recent landscape of sports clashes, none has sparked as much excitement as the face-off between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Diverse opinions have poured in from all directions, each bringing a distinct perspective to the table. Among these voices, former fighter Chael Sonnen steps into the discussion arena, ready to provoke thoughtful debate. Sonnen's focus in his analysis centers on Tyson's welfare, underscoring the growing worries surrounding the legendary champion who once ruled the ring. The passage of time inevitably leaves its mark, exacerbated by the lasting effects of Tyson's illustrious boxing career. Given the circumstances, Sonnen strongly opposed Paul showing any kindness towards Tyson. He likened the situation to the controversial Mayweather Jr. versus McGregor fight, hinting it could face legal scrutiny. Sonnen doubted the seriousness of Tyson's reported health issues and advised Paul to be unforgiving towards him in every scenario. "It's a crime. That's illegal. It's gamed on." Sonnen compared the widely debated Mayweather-McGregor showdown to illustrate a point. Although Mayweather won in the boxing versus MMA spectacle, critics raised concerns about the extended time it took for his victory, sparking speculation about possible irregularities. Sonnen informed Paul that the fight had received formal approval from the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. Mike would have a tremendous opportunity if the problem child deliberately prolonged the battle with Tyson, as that would be seen as insincere on Paul's behalf, beyond the potential for resolution. The whole thing is an uphill battle, Sonnen cautioned Tyson. He stated that Paul had too many advantages over the former champion. The former boxer remembered, "Jake's got more pounds than Tyson, in addition to his age and condition." Considering all of this, Sonnen said he was proud of Iron Mike. "This is a really brave moment for Mike," he said, adding that the legendary boxer is putting his reputation on the line for the upcoming fight. Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.